mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello there. It is me, Dan, from Monsters Up North podcast. I'm here to give you a slightly different episode of Monsters today. We are going to be talking about when monsters meet mega monsters. So we're going to be showing you 3 clips, if you want to hang around from that, from some of the most amazing people we've had the opportunity to interview and talk to on the podcast so far. From 2024, we're going to start off with a director, editor, writer of the 3Ds, Doomsday, The Descent, and Dog Soldiers. He's also done Westworld, Hannibal, Game of Thrones. I could keep going, but we haven't got the time. So, everyone, the incomparable Mr. Neil Marshall.
But it paid off massively with Dog Soldiers, because that movie is a, excuse my French, but a fucking masterpiece.
Thank you.
It's really odd because I saw it in the cinema because I'm not much younger than you, Neil, and I saw it in the cinema, and I was in my almost mid-20s, and I remember sitting there watching it, and it was unlike anything I'd seen before because obviously I was coming off the back of American Werewolf, and we were used to seeing the quadrupeds rather than the bipeds. So when we saw your version of now we're not sure whether we call it a werewolf, a wolfman.
We've been having this debate for some time on this podcast because of the Universal monster with Lon Chaney. He was on his feet and he was known as the Wolfman.
Yes.
And then you've got
are yours
werewolves or wolfmen?
Mine are 100% werewolves.
Right.
And the closest comparison would be the ones from The Howling.
Yes.
Right.
So, I mean, I think the Wolfman is the one who he has sort of like more human-like features.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the Wolfman, like Lon Chaney, or even the more recent Wolfman. It's like the features are still a little bit more human-like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the werewolves go full wolf.
Yeah.
But they retain walking around on 2 legs.
Yeah.
But so there's a story behind this, which was obviously like the 2 films that inspired Dog Soldiers in terms of werewolves were The Howling and American Werewolf, in which I always loved. You know, I think American Werewolf is the better film. I love the transformation sequence; it's the best ever. But I always preferred the werewolves in The Howling because I didn't like the fact that in American Werewolf it walked around on 4 legs. It's like, well, it's just a wolf then, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's the difference? And so in a few interviews that I did about it, I made this point of saying I didn't like the werewolf in American Werewolf in London. And years later, I was lucky enough to be on the set of Burke and Hare with John Landis.
Yeah.
And Landis never mentioned the fact that I said I didn't like his werewolf.
Good job.
Yeah, he never mentioned it at all. But I was sitting at the monitor watching Landis work, and I turn around and there's a guy sitting behind me with like very long white hair in a ponytail. And Landis comes in and says, "Oh, have you met Rick Baker?"
Oh.
And immediately, like, part of me is just like, "Oh my God, Rick Baker," and then part of me is thinking, "Oh shit, Rick Baker." and Rick Baker, like, he shakes my hand and he says, "Aren't you the guy who said that the werewolf from American Werewolf in London shouldn't be on 4 legs?" And I said, "Yeah, that was me." And he stared at me for what felt like an eternity with these like evil eyes.
Yeah.
And then finally he stopped and he said, "You're absolutely right. I always wanted it on 2 legs. It was Landis who wanted it on 4 legs."
Yeah.
That was a moment.
We recently did a Rick Baker episode, so we covered all the movies that Rick worked on and special effects, and then we did talk about American Werewolf and how he was adamant he wanted it on 2 legs for sheer ease compared to how they ended up having to film a lot of the
wheelbarrow thing.
Yeah, the rigging that they had to make up to make it look like it was running. The poor guy that had to be in the suit with his face down on the floor with the the whole head purchased on top. But with your guys, were they on stilts? Because
They
looked
were
so big. They were huge.
Well, again, like the sort of the original design that I had for the werewolves was like very elegant. That's this a mate of mine had done this drawing of these werewolves, and they looked very kind of elegant about them. There was some beauty about them, and I was like, oh, I'd love to capture that because I've never seen that before in a film. And so when I was putting all the costumes together, I cast these dancers to be in the suits. I got these dancers from the studio in London. I thought, they'll bring this kind of grace to the movement and this movement to it. But then we then put them on stilts and made them pretty much blind once they had the helmets on. So all of that grace went out the window. Like they could barely walk, they could barely stand up. They were staggering around all over the place, falling into each other. It was like all my great ideas just went sideways. But yeah, they were. So whenever possible, we would not have them on the stilts if we could get away with it. But half the time. But then the other part of it was I designed the werewolves in the set to not fit. They were slightly taller than the set. So whenever they came inside the house, they would have to kind of stoop over.
Giants.
And I kind of thought that made them look more they get more presence inside the house. But it actually helped them because they could hold onto the roof and move on their stilts a bit more gracefully that way. So by the end of the film, we finally figured out how to make it work, but it was tricky.
I wasn't sure, to be honest, because it did look as to an element of false perspective.
Yeah.
Me being short, I always look up. I'm only 5'3", so for me, I always look up. But the way you shot a lot of the shots, it looked like they were from low to high to give the impression they were really large, and that it did look like that it was because I watch out for things like that because my brain does it. It looked like because they were holding onto the beams, it did look like the room could have been slightly smaller and they were taller or they were really tall. I couldn't work it out. But as a small person always looking up, I'm always looking at things like that. So.
Yeah, when they were at full height on their stilts, they were like 7.5 feet tall. So they were pretty impressive.
They are. That's tall for me as well, and I'm really tall. I need to ask this, Neil, whose idea, and now this might just be my brain and how I looked at them, whose idea was to make the werewolves so adorable looking? Their faces are so, I just want to go like that and give them a big squishy cuddle. They didn't look frightening to us, and I don't know if that's just my brain and how I think when I'm looking at horror, but I really liked that. I love the look of them to the point where I was like, I just want to get a big cuddle off them.
I suppose it's we just made them look, they were very much like wolves, so wolves are pretty cute.
Yeah.
So I think it was more the fact that it was on a human body is what makes them creepy, but the heads themselves, they are kind of cute.
Yeah, they're adorable. I texted that because I
you want as a pet.
Yes, massively. I went to the pictures to see this back in 2002 when it came out, but I haven't returned back to it, even though I got told so many. I mean, I've been doing this podcast for 3 years now, the Nerdy Up North one, but the Monsters has just been going for a year. But every time we get on a horror subject, it's Dog Soldiers gets brought up constantly, time and time again. So when I watched it the other day, I was so taken aback at how much this film, it still stands today, all these years later, and it is so beautiful. And your cast is just remarkable. The chemistry that you get off them men, I didn't want to leave them. I didn't want anything to happen to them. I just wanted to stay in them woods and listen to them talk to each other.
No, they were a good bunch of lads. It was, we got very lucky with the cast over the putting it together, because it took a long time to make. I from writing the first draft to actually filming it was 6 years.
Right.
And at no point did I ever think it wasn't going to get made, but it was a process.
Mm-hmm.
And through that process, we went through various other cast possibilities. Jason Statham was attached at one point to play the lead.
Doing any diving? Was he in his diving phase then? Was he? He's he just done Lock, Stock. Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Blimey.
He just done Lock, Stock, and I saw him in Lock, Stock, and I thought that guy's going to be a movie star. That guy's got real presence. And so I offered him the lead role in Dog Soldiers. And to his credit, he came on board. He stuck with us for like about a year while we were trying to get the money together, and then he got offered John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah.
And even I was like saying, "This is John Carpenter wants you in his movie, man. Just go and do it. You have to go and do it."
Yeah.
So
I have opinions on that film. I have a lot of opinions on that film.
Everybody does, but at the time, before it was made, it's like John Carpenter wants you in his new movie. Go and make John Carpenter movie. Why wouldn't you? So he went off to do that, and then we lost him for Dog Soldiers, obviously. I offered Simon Pegg the role of Spoon.
Oh, right, okay.
And that was before Shaun of the Dead. It was like 2 years before Shaun of the Dead. So I'd seen him in Spaced, obviously, and was like, that guy's going to be a movie star.
Yeah.
So I offered him the role, and but again, all power to him. His loyalty was to Edgar. He promised Edgar that Shaun would be his first feature, and he was sticking with that. So I didn't get him either, but instead, I got Kevin McKinnon and I got Darren Morford as Spoon, and like they're both fantastic, and they make the characters their own. So I won in the end of the day. You did.
Well, we as viewers won, because the ensemble cast in that is just great. Like Spoon was such a fantastic character, to the point when I was watching Doomsday last night, I kept shouting, "Run, Spoon, run!"
Well, he is. I mean, it's kind of like, because Spoon and Darren are very interchangeable. He's very like that. So yeah, it does work that way.
Yeah, Dan got wrong for calling him a Geordie earlier.
Yeah, I know, partly Paul, my fault. I just didn't think it's just...
Well, the thing was less about Geordie specifically, but it was like I wanted to get some northern accents in there.
Yeah.
And amongst everything else, because it's like you don't hear them on screen that much, and certainly not in those kind of movies. So it was just like, let's get a whole mix of accents in there.
Well, it worked because it showed the difference between Shaun being a little bit, right, when I put it on, we're very much something and nothings, but it made it like you listened to Shaun because you could tell that he had the presence, what he said, and the way Liam also had that knack with his, the way that he had that. Now, Sammie has a thing about Liam's accent, but Liam has this way of literally, he could just sit in a room and your eyes automatically go to Liam because he just...
Yeah, it's fabulous.
He has this scary presence, even when he's playing nice guys, like in Game of Thrones, things like that. He still demands the focus somehow. I don't know what, you just automatically go to him and go, what's he doing?
No, Liam's got it. Whatever it is, Liam's got it. And for this film, obviously, like, I got him to hide his natural accent. But I had heard him playing sort of very, very English character in something else before, and I was like, oh, well, he'll be great for this. And I don't think at the time I realized he was Irish. So when I spoke to him on the phone, I was just like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. But I think for the character, it worked that he was like a bit of a posh knob. So.
Yeah, and he was so sinister as well. Like from this, it's been a very long time since I've had to cover my ears and hide my eyes. And that opening scene with I call him Owen because he's
the dog.
Oh no! I call him Owen because I know him from Owen is great from Grey's Anatomy. Which I was like, is this his like origin story? Because Owen was like he was a vet like in the army. Like, is this like? How
was he? Got there? I've never watched Grey's Anatomy, so I have no idea.
You're not missing anything. But he's really good in it. But yeah, Liam's accent at the beginning, I was terrified. Like, just him alone and the way he was speaking was just so scary, to the point where I thought, he's going to shoot this dog. That dog's gone. And thank you as well for having me on edge the whole time that you kept a dog in that whole film. And I'm glad it survived. But I was on edge the whole time, thinking that dog's going to bite the dust.
Yeah. Well, I know, because I'd done that at the beginning of the film. It was like, no, we got to make the dog one of the heroes of the film somehow, and he does save the day. No, the on screen the dog is cool, and on the film the dog was not so cool. And there's actually two different dogs playing that role, because the first one was so terrible we had to fire him and get a new one in.
You had to fire a dog.
Yeah.
Amazing. I know you recently did a reunion last year. Was it last year For the Love of Horror? You and Shaun?
Alarmingly, it was the year before.
Was it? Because I was working. I was in the trading room because my company.
Right.
works there, so I didn't get out to see, but everybody kept saying to me, you need to go watch the panel, you need to go watch the panel. And we were so busy, I couldn't get out to watch it. So I've watched it on YouTube since.
Right.
And it looks like it was like really nice to all be together, because Craig was there, wasn't he? Craig was there as
well. Yeah, it was an absolute blast. It was just and getting a few of us together. Obviously, like there's some of the group that like I can't even locate. We don't even know where they are. Some of the lads, but Craig I've obviously stayed in contact with. Darren is still around. Sean still mates with. Kev's obviously in the States, so he was doing his thing. So we got together as many as we could that day, but it was just great to see everybody. I mean, getting Darren out is quite a feat. So, but he had such a riot. I think he really enjoyed himself.
Yeah, you guys really did look like you had fun when I watched it back, and I think it's one of those things where because it's been, and I hate to use this term, it's been 22 years since the film came out, which it doesn't feel like 22 years, but it's been 22 years. So it's one of those things where you sit back and you think, would they still have the same chemistry if you put them in the same room? Do they feel like a bunch of strangers now? Do they still get on outside that you don't know? And it was so nice to see that it was just like everybody was just like into their places.
I always think, because funnily enough, last night I was interviewing Shauna McDonald from The Descent for this book that we're writing about the making of the movie, and she was saying that her and the girls are still friends to this day as a group. Like they're still friends to this day, and the same with the boys from Dog Soldiers. And I kind of thought that of all the things that I'd like, as proud as I am of the films, I'm also like super proud that I've created these bunches of friends that are still friends today, and I think that's an achievement of sorts.
It is. Well, when you go on and see like Maya Anna, for example, she's gone into being The Witcher, and you see, like, when you go back and watch these movies, even though I've watched them for so long, going back and watching them now to just have a little bit of a fresh eyes on them, you tend to see so many people, and you're like, Jesus, that person's gone on to do that. That's gone on to do that. Person's in that. And it's like, it is a testament though, because I know you love using the same actors throughout your movies. Like I did ask you once you were on my friend's podcast, Be More Super, with Brian and Dan, and you showed them the big wolf head. And I asked a question through the live chat, which was, is Craig Conway your lucky mascot? Because you always, in the big three, in the 3Ds, you have him in every one of your movies.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, I want to find stuff to work, with Craig again. And I always try and get some of these guys in because I don't know if they're lucky or not, but it's just like, it's working with your mates. And that's pretty good. Sean and Craig, they're all like sort of brothers from another mother, So whenever I can work with them, I will. It's just not always possible. A lot of my most recent films I've been filming overseas, and just you're always encouraged to, if you bring in actors from the UK, you've got to put them in hotels and stuff like that. And when you're working on super low budgets, it's just not possible. So, so I haven't managed to get them into the films as much as I would like, but I will do in future, definitely, because it's just such a blast. Yeah.
It looks so
you were saying before that, how Dog Soldiers still held up, and it's interesting because I look at it now and it's like, it's the kind of film you don't see made anymore now, because it is on the edges. We shot it on 16mm. It's kind of grainy. It's just a little bit rough around the edges. Everything, even like low budget films now, are shot on 4K, and they all look quite slick. That level of old school filmmaking is like a hangover from the 70s, and it's gone now. So, but that said, I think both Dog Soldiers, Descent, and these things, they last the test of time because they're not dated.
Yeah,
I didn't fill them full of like contemporary music and contemporary references. So they feel as fresh now as they did when they were first made, because there's nothing to date them really.
Yeah, the costumes aren't dated. Obviously, army fatigues, and then obviously spelunking gear, and then you've got in Doomsday, post-apocalyptic, Mad Max, medieval, Malcolm McDowell. We're going like full on, so you don't know where you are in any timeline, so to speak. I mean, you have your dates at the beginning of 2035, I think, if I remember rightly, and Now, if I'd have watched that we had a discussion that if we watched that a couple of years ago, we probably would have shit ourselves.
Yeah.
You know,
you were so on the nose with the pandemic. I texted Dan last night. Now, and if I watched this during lockdown, that's it. I'd have had to lock the door and I'd never be coming back out again.
It's funny that I remember watching the news during the first lockdown or whatever, and they closed the border between England and Scotland, like for the first time in hundreds of years. And I was like, it's happening. Doomsday is happening. They're going to build a wall.
It's the fact that you lowered that wall past Newcastle that I was very much like, yes. And then I was like, oh no, that means that we're in the bad part. I'd be in the bad part.
Well, because it always seemed to me that the Romans did a weird thing there of like, I thought you'd use the Tyne as your barrier.
Yeah.
So Newcastle would be north of the wall. Like, why would you build the wall not use the Tyne? I didn't get that. So
you were so on the nose with a lot of things in Doomsday.
It was also I was also planting a seed that if I ever got to make a sequel to Doomsday, I wanted to set some of it in Newcastle for the sequel, but I never got to do that. So there you go.
That's a shame. The car scene that's made 7 years before Mad Max Fury. And I was like, I'm not a big fan of that film. I'm really sorry, but that was done so brilliantly. I was like, he even got it before that film came out. Like, that's amazing.
Well, I just nicked it all from the Road Warrior and stuff like that earlier. So, I just wanted to do one of those kind of chases, because they're a lot of fun.
I love the slogan on the car. Your shit is our bread and butter.
Oh, the plumbers. Yeah, it's the old plumbers, man. Your shit is our bread and butter.
It's one of my favourite bits. Literally, I caught it for the first time when I rewatched it, and I was like, why is that not on everything? You need more merchandising deals going down. That was long ago. That
was my production designer came up with that as a slogan for the plumbing company. And I just thought that's so brilliant. I've got to feature it in the film somehow.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, but go back to The Descent and the creatures. What were they called? Oh, sorry, I've totally crawlers. That's it. Where did the design come from them? Because they are interesting.
That was just a hybrid of various scary monsters that I liked. From Nosferatu to I wouldn't say Gollum. I didn't, because I never thought he was particularly scary. But Nosferatu. Do you remember the Master in Salem's Lot?
Yeah.
Things like that, of just trying to make something that was much more human, but like just disturbing in many ways. So yeah, so there wasn't a huge amount to them because it's basically face makeup, and then the rest of them is just them with body paint and KY jelly and stuff like that all over them.
Yeah, they looked really slimy.
Yeah,
but
they were exceptionally slimy.
I love the design of them though, and the fact that the contrast between the dark, the rocks and everything, and them makes them stand out so much more to a presence. That is terrifying.
Yeah, it was like, can we make them like pasty white? Because there's no vitamin D down there, so they're kind of pasty white. And then big ears, because they rely on sound so much. Their eyes are they've gone blind. Their eyes are sort of essentially kind of healing up because they don't use them anymore. And then the nose, because they use their smell quite a bit, but and then teeth because they're carnivorous. So it was just trying to combine all these elements to make this weird albino underground human dweller.
It worked really well. You have a knack though at the beginning of Dog Soldiers and The Descent of setting up a movie to the point where I'm like having to look away from the screen, because The Descent did exactly that with that opening scene. That was some filmmaking there. I was terrified. I'm not terrified, but I jumped a lot.
Well, even stuff like that. Like, I thought, why don't we put the car crash right sort of in the middle of the opening credits?
Mm-hmm.
Because people kind of assume that, the credits are running now. It's safe.
Whew, we can breathe.
Just like right in the middle of the credits, we'll just kill them, kill them dead.
Kill them dead. Yeah. Kill them really dead as well. You did in the beginning of Dog Soldiers. You didn't use a score with Craig's scene in the tent, which I thought was absolutely perfect, because there's no, I always think like a score makes you rely, like it helps you to rely where your emotion should be, and there was nothing there, so that made that tension so much worse. But it was in the Descent. Do you
Wasn't
not
wasn't
intentional.
Just really, it's just what worked best for the film.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great.
I was going to say, because in The Descent, I did notice, was it you that made the choice to have the reds and the greens most?
Yes.
Yeah, because that was something that I'd noticed but didn't pay that much attention to until I rewatched it, and how much of it sets the tension, it builds the tension, because when the green's fading out, you feel like something's going to happen. Like you sort of go with the environment.
Yeah.
But like the red was so red, but it worked because, like I say, you then get the white of the crawlers going up against the red. And I know a lot of it was filmed on sound stages, wasn't it? Obviously, you couldn't do that in real cave.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I mean, there isn't a real cave in the whole movie.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I saw it behind the scenes that's doing the rounds on TikTok. Someone did a behind the scenes. So you see Craig dancing dressed as one of the crawlers.
Oh. You're
in it having a conversation with, I think it's Shona and Craig, and they're meeting Craig for the first time, all dressed up. Yeah. Someone like did a little Hatchet like minute version on TikTok, and it's really weird seeing Craig talking and dancing around, and then you've got the other guys who are speaking like Shakespearean actors dressed up like crawlers. So kind of took it off.
Fun bunch of crawlers, fun guys to hang out with.
It was great to watch, because it also gave you that, you could see the sound sets behind, you could see the stages, and the amount of scaffolding, that they must have been some big old sets because of the sheer.
They were pretty big, and they were made out of this it was a new technology at the time, this kind of spray on foam stuff that came out of a big hose pipe, and you built it like a rough structure and then sprayed the foam to it to make it, and you could make various versions of it. There could be like soft spongy foam, so if we were doing fight sequences we could use that, or there was like harder foam for climbing up and things like that. So it was amazing set build, but we concluded very early on that there's no way we could have made it in a real cave, because somebody would have died. So all would have died. And finding caves that would have worked specifically for the things we needed was impossible as well. So it had to be a set build. But it was all, I think in total there was about 12 sets, but like we reused them. I mean, some of them were literally just like a tiny little tunnel, and another one was like quite big. But we reused them again and again and again and again. I think no, sorry, there were 8 sets, and I reused one of them 12 times in the film, but you can't tell.
No, you can't.
And it was literally like we'd spray it a different color, or we'd take a big boulder and move it somewhere else. But every time the actors went through, and they were essentially lighting the scenes with their torches, they were never pointing at the same place twice, or never doing the same thing twice. So you had no idea that you were in the same set.
No, it was really good. I've got a question about Doomsday. Because Universal distributed the movie, would you class Sol as a Universal monster?
Yeah, sure. Why not? He's a monster in a Universal movie, so why not?
Exactly. You've inadvertently created a new
Sol and the Gimp, I think.
Yeah.
Sol and the Gimp.
Well, I hope you like that one. The next one we have coming up is a home treasure from the character acting world. As you know, we love to champion SFX, practical effects, and especially character actors like Doug Jones. And I would definitely put this gentleman in that bracket. He's worked on films such as AVP, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, Prometheus, to Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and The Northman. You've seen him, but do you even know you've seen him? That's right, we have the amazing Mr. Ian Whyte.
So when you approach a part that you get, do you spend a lot of time discovering the physicality of the character, or do you wait till you start going through the process of the body casts, the putting the costume actually on, feeling what makes sense when you get on set? How much of that is pre-planned? Because obviously you have limited vision for most part, so you must have to choreograph prior to
filming scenes and things like that for some of the more difficult makeup and costumes?
Yeah, my approach to a character, these non-human characters, is very much the same as my approach to a human character. It comes from the inside. It comes from in here. I try and humanize these aliens, monsters, creatures, demons, beasts, whatever. They're all heroes in their own story. They've all got their own lived experience. Mm-hmm. So you got to find that. You can't go to the coffee shop down the road and watch predators going about their daily lives, having a cup of coffee, getting on the bus, doing the shopping, doing the school run, etc., etc. So you've got to make it up. Mm-hmm. So you've got to find out what they are on the surface first. Use the predator as an example. The one that I played, he was a warrior. Okay, so that's on the surface. He's a warrior. Now I'm going backwards, and I'm trying to find out why and how. What did he have to go through? What is their culture? Is he ripped from his parents at an early age, or is this voluntary? How does he get into this? Then once he's got into it, is it, think of I've done martial arts training, etc., etc. I was a basketball player for a long time. I know the discipline of commitment. What is that commitment? What is that discipline? What is the everyday pain and suffering that he has to go through in order to be that level of intergalactic killing machine? And that's just an example of how I approach a character. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get flashes of inspiration when you once you've got the costume on, once you're in front of the camera, then you can start playing with it for real.
Yeah.
Because then it means something.
Yeah.
But up to that point, it's you and your imagination and maybe a pen and paper.
You get a lot of points from the director, like this is what before you go through the costuming or anything like that. Do you get a lot of points saying this is the base history we have for this character, and they let you kind of expand on that and go from there, or is it very strict, like you must stick to this? Or
well, sometimes you don't meet the director until the first day of filming.
Oh.
So no, but you have the script and you have the written word, so that becomes your gospel.
Right.
If we're still talking about the Predator, then I had the previous work, and I went through that frame by frame, trying to extrapolate little details, little nuances of stuff that I could use in a physical form. But it was still a different character that I was playing, a different internal kind of framework that I was doing, that I had to invent.
I would say Scar was very empathetic compared to the previous Predators, because he found his way and he adapted to the situation, and he befriended the human and gave her the respect because she did what he was there to do, which was to obviously protect, keep the alien queen done and kill the aliens, and that was Scar's kind of job, to look after that situation, I presume, because it's been, it's open to interpretation. Some people say he was an unblooded going there to get his thing, graduate. I don't know what you want to call that, but then other people have said it was literally his job was to keep the queen down there, and the fact that it had been invaded, he was going to make sure that no one let her out. But he was very empathetic towards humans, which is the first time you kind of see that, which you bought. And I've noticed that seems to have followed through, weaved through all the other ones, like Predator, Prey. I'm not sure what Badlands is going to do, but it seems to be something that has become a common theme. And would you say that was your choice? And not being like big-headed about it at all. I just was curious if that was a choice that you made moving forward with it.
No, it was, like I said, it was driven by the script. You know, the script is the gospel. Scar was kind of sympathetic. You know, they had he was forced into a position where he had to develop this partnership with the human, the only one there who was worthy, that he thought worthy. I mean, he killed Wayland.
Yeah.
And he'd already figured out that he was dying anyway.
That's the thing. Wayland was weak though, wasn't he? Because he was dying. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those many questions. There's so many people that have so many theories on the whole Predator universe, especially with the backlash from the Badlands teaser trailer that's come out, and the fact that people are really struggling with the new design of this Predator. I mean, we had the same when the Prey Predator came out as well, how everybody didn't like the way that one looked because they're so stuck in the vein of the traditional Predator costume, like the look. I don't know where this one's going. Do you have any hopes for it?
No, I'll watch it, and either I'll enjoy it or I won't. I mean, that's the whole point. It was created for the enjoyment of the audience. The audience will enjoy it, or they won't enjoy it.
That's fair enough.
And there will be some that do both. You know, my advice is to just watch it and formulate your own opinion. But don't try and formulate an opinion of something you haven't seen.
That's what we always try and say. We've recently watched Werewolves as well.
Yes.
Wow, them werewolves are beastie mind. Like, wow. What was it like? Like, I when I was watching. Oh, also, are you Lou Diamond Phillips' werewolf? I can't.
No, I don't think I am.
Oh man,
it was such a long time ago. No, I don't think I am.
I was going to say there was. There was three. There were three of you guys, but then many times there was like 5 or 6 on the screen, so I wasn't sure if they.
Yeah, we couldn't figure it out. I was like, because it says you're the lead, and when you look at the credits, you're lead werewolf.
Yes, well, there was myself, Ian Foyer, and Dane DeLegro. Yeah, and Dane DeLegro, obviously, watchers, listeners will know the name Dane DeLegro for being the new Predator. Mm-hmm. I think he. I'm going to go on a limb and say he's in Werewolves for the same reason that Ian Foyer was in Alien vs. Predator Requiem. And Ian Foyer, who I love dearly, came into Alien vs. Predator Requiem because it wasn't possible for me to get to LA to shoot the extra footage that was required at the time. And I don't know for certain, but I think that's why Dane DeLegro was brought in. He wasn't on principal photography with Ian Foyer and I in Puerto Rico.
Right.
So we didn't actually work together. But let me go back to the beginning. Werewolves. I mean,
yes.
What a concept. I mean, it was straight out of lockdown.
Oh, okay. Right.
Hadn't worked in almost 2 years. The world has been on the verge of collapse. Mm-hmm. And I get this incredible email from Alec Gillis. And he says, this is a long shot, but do you want to come to Puerto Rico and shoot a werewolf movie with Frank Grillo? Let me think about that for a minute. Do you want me to make the tea as well?
That's fair. Yep.
A week later, I was on the plane to LA to be fitted for the costume. Of course, there are many, many werewolves in this movie.
Yeah.
It was filmed in Puerto Rico, in the tropics of the Caribbean.
Oh, my God.
You can imagine filming a creature movie with such an amount of action, in the Caribbean. It was unbelievably difficult.
Now that you've said that, it doesn't look it when you are watching it. Whatever struggles you went through, it's not it's not on the picture, because the fluent movement of these werewolves was just phenomenal.
It was so much fun. The director, I mean, it had nightmare written all over it. Creature movie in the Caribbean, a limited budget, quite a short shoot. We have to cram in so much action to such a short period of time. And yet the director was incredible. He just kept everybody moving forward in the right direction, motivated. And it was brilliant. And Frank Grillo just drives it. He's incredible. Hey, you want to watch the producer, a guy called Miles Nostell, who's a British producer living in Los Angeles. He produced another movie with Frank Grillo. It is or was on Netflix. It's called Wheelman.
Right.
It is brilliant.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where you were quite going with that.
it comes in at a whopping 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mercifully short.
That is short for a nowadays movie.
Incredible cinematography. It's a great story. It's like a criminal drama. And Frank Grillo is fantastic, and it is absolutely brilliant. So go and watch that if you can.
I will, because I've got a lot of time for Frank Grillo at the moment. Yes. I mean, I loved him. He's fantastic. I loved him in Winter Soldier as Crossbones. He suited that part just brilliantly. But recently, he's now working with James Gunn, and he's done Creature Commandos. He did the voice of Rick Flag Sr. He's now going on to play him in James Gunn's is a Peacemaker or Superman. He's going to play that same character in real life as well. So it's like everything's coming up Frank Grillo at the moment. I'm so pleased to everyone gets to see how magnificent he is, because he is just fantastic. And I didn't realize the director of Werewolves was the guy who did Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Sure.
Did not know. Stephen C. Miller.
I knew it was an A.
Yeah. Also, he's in, oh my God, Danny's in talks to do the remake of Motel Hell.
There doesn't need to be a remake. Motel Hell was fine as it is.
Have you seen it, Ian?
I have not.
Oh my God, you need to watch it. It is an absolute 80s, how do I describe it, Dan?
Ridiculous nonsense fest.
Yes.
Still worth every pound.
Every second.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
It's 80s horror craziness, and we did it last year, and it was my introduction to it, and it is just, it's batshit crazy. Really is. It's fantastic. I loved it. Oh gosh. Yeah, Werewolves was a surprise, because I've fallen in love with werewolves since we started doing this podcast. I never had an opinion on them until we did The Wolfman, and my love affair of werewolves has kind of grown from there. And then we had Neil on, and we talked about Dog Soldiers, and his werewolves are, I even said to him, why did you make your werewolves so cute? They were adorable. These werewolves are not that. These are going to rip your face off. They are going to rip your insides out and pull your spine out with it. The makeup on it looks absolutely phenomenal. What was the process like to get into it?
Was no real makeup as such. The creature effects were designed by Alec Gillis, my dear friend who I've worked with on many occasions, and working on his own this time. And it was just absolutely fantastic, and one of those films that. Although it was such spectacular hard work, I am thoroughly proud of.
Oh, you should be, because the werewolves in it, they're absolutely fantastic. The story itself, I could not stop laughing when Frank Grillo's just chucking the cages down, the traps, just on the grass, it's just a nonchalant thing to do. Let's just chuck some bear traps down on the grass outside. I was like, okay, that's not weird at all.
My favourite was the biker wolf, because he had the biker vest.
Oh my God!
He had all the ear piercings. And may I add, I don't know how this happened. I'm just going to put it down to good old movie magic. But his ear piercings got bigger as he became a wolf. Like, he didn't have the human ear piercings he had, and then he got bigger and they popped off. No, the earrings turned into massive, great big. So I was just like, I appreciate the kind of level of comedy that came with, and I felt like it was kind of swept away too quickly. I think there was a couple of occasions where the wolf adopted the clothes and the clothes got bigger with the wolf, you know, with in Incredible Hulk trousers sort of situation.
It was kind of agreed that the main werewolf characters would have their own personalities, you know, and a great many of them would really enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, what attracted me to Werewolves right at the beginning was, first of all, it was a really, really great script. But I thought, this is a werewolf movie with a really important moral question at its heart.
Mm.
And to me, that question was, you know, give yourself 24 hours. Well, not even 24 hours. It's a night, isn't it? It's
a night. It's just one night.
It's moon up to moon down.
Yeah.
And would you, if you could have that power, knowing full well what you would become and what you would get up to, would you take it?
Oh.
And I thought that was a very, very important moral question, because there are people in the movie who hide from that, who don't want that power, and there are people at the other end of the spectrum who can't wait for that power.
Oh, do you know? I think I would. I'm very much like jump to the power kind of person. So, yeah, I definitely think I would.
I'd get killed. If I got changed, someone would shoot me, or I'll be that one that got stuck in the bear trap. And
well, that's it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to survive, because I'm not a survivalist. Like, if the zombie apocalypse happens tomorrow, I'm gone within the first few hours, and it'll be by my own doing. I'm the one who's going to cause it.
I'm not a runner.
Me neither. Even if it was just for a minute, though, just to like feel what that like strength is like to actually have strength, you know, to be able to like, I think I would. I think I'd do. I'd try it.
Yeah, but that would be out of your control. You wouldn't have it just for a minute. Then the urges would take over. Then you would want to hunt and kill and eat human flesh, and then you'd be gone. Then you'd be a werewolf completely.
That's where you broke us.
Lastly, we have two people whom we've championed on the pod and cannot stress enough how much that the support for their movie has enabled them to bring to life and create such an amazing indie movie as Slay. So we have Always Sunny Illuminae, Victorian ghost, demon, Westworld and Walking Dead actor Mr. Jimmi Simpson, and director, podcast host of Flesh and Blood and Bone with the SFX legend that is Tony Gardner, documentarian of Living with Chucky, and a woman of so many talents, the smashing Miss Kyra Gardner.
Really cool. But the question I want to ask is, what sets this apart from a traditional slasher trope? And please tell me it's the Disco Mountain cabin. When that was mentioned, I was like, I have to know what a Disco Mountain cabin is, because it just sounds either the most fantastical thing or my worst nightmare. I'm not entirely sure where I sit on that one. So
yes, it's described as a party disco mountain cabin. You'll have to see. It's more of like in line with like the 1970s like design and decor, but it's really like, I kind of describe it as like we sort of fell into the slasher genre. Like, we didn't set out to like make the definition of what a slasher movie is. It was like Jimmy, like when he came on writing, the focus first and foremost always was sort of the characters first, and then this thing that happens to happen upon them second. So I think what sets it apart is like you really get to know the characters before they're killed, if they're killed, and they're like the inner dynamics of like how it is in high school, being a teenage girl, being a teenage boy, and in this like larger friend group together. And as well, like, you know, in our production design and things, we're not shy of the color pink. Like, you can see in our sizzle trailer, like you don't know who it is, but there's a pink casket. Like, we really tried to be a little bit more dynamic than just the horror genre. That happens to have some good kills.
Yeah. Oh, I saw the pink casket on the Kickstarter, and I just thought it was kind of like you can have like something from the set. I didn't realize it was actually part of the set. Like, genuinely, I want a pink casket.
No, the designers made it beautifully for us. And again, it just goes to show you with independent film, what we had two guys that cared. Mm-hmm. And so they took paint and rulers and made a cheap casket that had not been used but was long overdue of like being tossed out, and made it look like a beautiful centerpiece.
They got it wrapped in car vinyl.
Yeah. But then just to answer Dan, like regarding like how we are different from typical tropey horror movies, it's this wonderful kind of mashup of like Gen X and Gen Z. What we're doing here. I love Friday the 13th series so much. I love that, I love that the deaths were a little removed from reality, and that it was kind of like, let's look at these yahoos, these high school yahoos, mess around and then get what they deserve. Where we differ from that kind of trope is I'm also obsessed with scenes and writing and acting. And so I really put a lot of focus on these kids becoming real. So we've described it as almost like the Breakfast Club meets Scream, because it's a real attention paid to the humans, and you love them. And that's why you fall for this movie, not because you're seeing an idiot get his comeuppance. You're actually falling for the people. And then when things get hairy, it's just, you feel it so much more. And so we hope everyone is going to love this blend, the Gen Z, Gen X blend.
Yeah.
It's because you both have two totally different perspectives that this has worked so well for you. Because when you've been writing this, Jimmi, I'm sure you've been looking at it from the perspective of an actor and how you would see the characters develop your way. And Kyra, you would see it from a directorial point of view. You know, how would I set this up? How does this scene work if the dynamics are so different? So with the cast that you have and the experience that these guys do have, and my God, when I looked at the cast list, I was like,
yeah,
that's
wow,
for an indie movie, that is pretty good. That's not skimping on some names there, you know. And the guys have got some serious credits to them as well. So, you know, I think you're in a position where you can trust the actors to know that the level of professionalism will be there for what you would like to write for them, and also how you would like to direct them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and like, because we had the characters written so far ahead of casting, but the audition process was really interesting. Like, we had some characters who are in our cast read originally for different characters, but then the moment they started auditioning, it was like, oh no, they're perfect for the other character. And people like Sean Gambron from the Goldbergs is like, I'm so excited that we sort of got him first into the horror genre, because he's like so underrated, and just like the biggest sweetheart. And you can totally see the professionalism shine through, because he has so much experience in television that, he's consistently the actor that always hits its mark for camera and things like that. So it was a really exciting process, and then also to see what they did with it, because there's also actors who don't have many credits if at all. Like Beck Nolan was graduating out of college while we were shooting. He had to fly back to graduate from college while we're filming, and I'll say this a lot, but he sort of has like the jockey boyfriend tropey. Jimmy really didn't write tropes, but that was maybe the one character that was a little bit flatter. And Beck like took it and ran with it and made really big choices. So much to the fact where I was like, oh my God, how the fuck am I supposed to like edit this together? I don't know if it's gonna work. What is he doing? And like the experience of also Jimmy's like professionalism and knowing actors and understanding actors. He was just like, wait, like let him play. And I'm so glad Jimmy said that on set and that we did that, because in the editing room we're finding he's like so funny, and it's like we can always cut to him. Now the continuity isn't always matching, but I'm very grateful like for the actors who took big choices.
Yeah, and I just agree with all of that, and then also the other point of your question, it was. Okay, so it was a really arduous, really difficult process. It's okay. We've all been through them. And so, but what we discovered, first of all, is that Kyra and I work really well under pressure, under immense pressure. We seem to figure it out and don't come at each other. But also creatively, like, Kyra was there not just as a director, but she was also, I would ask her a lot of stuff. About her take on Gen Z and stuff she wants to maybe add and write into the script. And she would ask me about my takes on some directorial stuff. And so it was a perfect, and neither of us have egos about sharing that. And so it was just community. And I had a couple other crew that were just right there with us, where there's no hierarchy, if our ACAM operator has an idea, we say, tell us. Because you have perspective that we don't even have. And then we add that shot. Oh my God, that was it. That was the connective tissue. So it was a highly collaborative process, more so than any project I've ever been on, honestly. So that was my favorite part. Besides how cool the movie looks, is just like, that open collaboration when there is no hierarchy.
Yeah. It's funny too, writing it, like trying to explain some of like the Gen Z stuff. I was like, we have to mention Shrek. Like we just have to put Shrek in the script, and it made it in. We talked about Shrek twice.
Yes.
I'm so excited about that.
I would be with Jimmy because I'm a Gen X. I'm very much up there next to you, Jimmy. I'm not far from your age. So it's one of those things where when you take two universes that are so far apart, because Sammie's in the middle, aren't you? You're a millennial. So she's on the borderlines. So she's kind of in the middle of us. So it's like this very strange, she's nearer a Gen X than she is a millennial. So the Gen Z thing is a whole, it's a very unexplored, uncharted waters for someone like me. So the nearest I get to it is TikTok. I've got to be honest. Yeah. So
then you're entrenched. You're entrenched. So you know what it's like. But yeah, it's really fun the way things collide. Like songs that are deeply important to me because of like a road trip my family took and was on the AM radio in 1984. and all of a sudden Kyra's singing it. I'm like, oh my God, you know that too? She's like, yeah. Everything, she knows all songs, she knows them from Shrek.
I know him from Shrek. Shrek 2. The soundtrack for Shrek 2 is so good. And we talk about it in the movie.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. How does music play a huge part in this movie?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
It's huge.
It's so interesting because the process has shifted a few times, but when we went into filming, we know that we needed one song that was going to play like a big part in the movie. And then we sort of like Jimmy created a Spotify playlist, and it was like drawing songs from the 80s and the 90s, and then I'd maybe throw in something that's like late 90s, early 2000s, and it kind of created this like in world that we were trying to like set up. But then now that we're in the editing room, we'll still have a song, but now with the score, it's taken its like own shape even from that, and it's like going back to the writing itself of being broader than just like a horror slasher is also how the music is. It's inspired by many things that aren't typical horror. to make us feel a little bit outside that genre and hopefully like connect with the characters more.
That's pretty cool.
It's a huge part. The artists doing the score, Matt Campo and Delaney Rosenthal, it's quite inspired at this point. And because they're artists, it took probably 2 months before the sound was even close to right. But now it's just really, it's got its own identification. It's really the movie. And now I can't really imagine the movie without it. And I think people are really going to kind of freak out about this score because it's everything most horror movie scores are not. It's artful, it's thoughtful, it's reminiscent. Some elements, a producer listened to it and he's like, oh God, it's like the best of a John Hughes moment. Yeah. I mean, and so the comp of when everybody's settling and finding each other in a John Hughes movie, it's there, and you're just gonna love it. It's gonna be beautiful. It's really special.
Music is such a big part of me. Like I have my movies and my music, and they live together in perfect harmony. I couldn't tell you phone numbers, birthdays, but I can tell you who wrote a song in 1973 and what it charted at. You know.
Yeah.
That's my thing. So when I watch a film, the score at the time of watching it isn't necessarily something that comes into your mind firstly, but it is the thing that invokes the emotion, the compassion for the characters, the want to keep watching. So I am so glad that there is the same level of passion that's going into the sort of score writing and the making of the idea of what you're looking forward to. And that would lead me on to my next question, kind of. How heavily influenced is this movie by previous horrors? Or have you tried to step away from the sort of the Chucky, the Jason? Are you purposely avoiding kind of the traditional side of it and you're trying to make your own lane?
That's a good question. I think when you're under a tight budget as well, you're sort of forced to make your own lane in some ways. Like you're not going to get these grandiose shots that are in typical slasher films that have multi-million-dollar budgets. So it was like, also, you know, our killer's mask and their whole outfit is so different than most other masked movies, slasher horror films. And oddly enough, like, the benefit of Jimmi being in Gen X and I'm Gen Z is like when my cinematographer was in Africa when we were prepping the movie. And so I really needed help shot listing 113 scenes. It's a lot to do in a very small amount of time before you're supposed to film. So Jimmi stepped in and helped me so much. And we were drawing inspiration from like, you know, this is more of the camera side and things like that. But like Boogie Nights became like, I had never seen it actually. And it became like
I've never seen it.
That's a choice, that film.
Yeah. And just seeing like what other filmmakers were doing to tell the story. That's always important is how is the camera? How is the outfit? How is the song? How is everything aiding the story? So there's definitely inspiration outside the horror genre. And then within the horror genre, you can't have a mass killer without being, you know, you have to think about Halloween. You have to think about Friday the 13th. I don't know what, you know, there's some sort of horror tropes that are alluded to or homage in certain ways, but I don't know. What do you think, Jimmi?
Yeah, I mean, all art's pulling from the art that came before it. We all know, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's that ability to gently use what's come before you for people to have a way in, and they wrap their mind around what it is right away. But like we said, once you enter our home, it looks very different than all the other horror movie in interiors you've been in. There's time, there's patience. I think everyone is kind of funny. I think life is weird and funny. And so there is a lot of attention paid to bringing those qualities out of these humans. You know, it's fun to listen to them give each other shit. It's fun to listen to them share with each other because it should be staked down and really honest. So that's what you get inside. It's just like, oh, attention has been paid.
Yeah.
You know, you go into most horror fair on whatever you're watching it on, and there's quite a lot of thoughtless performances, thoughtless story points, pointless shots that actually aren't connecting any information. And yeah, we didn't do that.
We try, yeah. If you watch it and you go, yeah, you did. Well, it was
Yeah. I mean, we attempted not to do that.
We attempted to not. Yeah.
You'll be getting a strongly worded email from myself. You said.
But we're English, so we'll be very polite about it.
Very backhanded. It will be like,
yeah.
I do believe, sir and madam. But I think what the world is really, the horror community is really sort of wanting is something to be able to change, not necessarily change the face of it, but just take that sidestep away to give us something new enough, but familiar enough.
Yeah. You can't do totally new because then it'll always go back to, we wanted this. So I like the fact that there's kind of like a dynamic there, but me and Dan are huge into makeup, costuming. When we do our episodes, which is really, we do movie episodes and we talk a lot, we kind of go in depth on the makeup side and on the costume side. We kind of know that somebody played a part in the makeup side, and that makes me incredibly excited. Are we expecting the legendary that is your dad level of makeup in this movie?
Yes, I would say as much as we were able to do with the budget we had is absolutely what's in there. Talking through with my dad of like, how do we kill people? Like, how can we kill people in interesting ways? How can we do things that serve the story, but also serve the horror community? Because I'm also, you know, being raised by an SFX makeup artist, practical effects mean everything to me.
Yeah.
That was what was talked about the very first second of this, was like, we have to be all practical. Like, and I'm happy to say like 95% of what you'll see on screen is all practical. There'll only be a small little, like, you know, you can't always control where the blood sprays on set.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of digital to make it go the direction it needs to go, unless you're spending an hour with blood tubes. But yeah, it's quite exciting. There's one particular death that I think everybody's going to be really excited about.
Oh, okay. Do you know what? When I heard that your dad was going to be working on the movie, it got me very excited. I'm not gonna lie. I love the idea of him being brought into this to kind of elevate the story that you want to put through, because his work is absolutely legendary.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
We found a new lease of love in this podcast
did.
about a year or so ago, where we started doing double features. But they were in the respect of, we'd watch the original and then we'd watch either a reboot, remake, or an adjacent.
It
was the Blob.
And it changed everything, Jimmy, like
did.
literally everything, our perspective on everything. Because we went into it with, I love old movies. And I was like, I'm really excited to like kind of talk to everyone about this really fantastic movie. And it was not great. It was not great to talk about. And then I looked at the poster for the Blob and I was like, oh, Dan, I don't know if I can actually do this. I don't know if I can watch this. And when we did, total game changer, complete. But it changed our whole perspective for the year of that podcast was based. And we always referenced it every time, was thanks to this movie, we have found like this new whole lease of our podcast.
Amazing.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite horror movies, and mainly because of like the practical effects. We have an episode, I had to break it down into 2 parts, I think, on our podcast, me and my dad, to talk about the Blob, because there's so much going on in that movie, and what they're able to do at the time. Like, he's still, like, he would explain to me things like, they call it the blob quilt, is whatever. And anytime there's a shot of the blob being like on the ceiling or something, it'd be this quilt thing that would just like flop down. And I still don't even understand how they made it, because it's like translucent something. And that's so cool, because it's a movie that really does stand the test of time with its practical effects, and even their stop motion and miniatures, and it still holds up in today's world. And that's funny, because I really enjoy that movie. And when we were casting, there was this character we needed, and Shawnee Smith came to mind. I had not met her before in my life. I just knew her name, obviously, from my dad, and he's always talked about her very fondly. My mom as well. She's actually in The Blob. She's one of the cheerleaders in the beginning with Shawnee, and then she dies in the movie theater, and Shawnee pulls her like gooey head off the theater floor, and there's like popcorn in it. And so Shawnee gave my mom her sweater after filming The Blob. It's actually in my closet. And so I wrote Shawnee this letter to see if she'd want to do the movie. And I sort of was like, it was the first movie that my dad did as his own special effects company. He and my mom had just started Alterian, and that was their first movie together, was The Blob. And so I was sort of like, I would be honored if I could start my career with you as you did with my dad in 1988. And she was on board right away. It was very sweet.
Oh my God, I got chills when you said that. That is so sweet.
Yeah, and she was so, so, so sweet.
So was there a moment, or when was the moment, that during the making of this movie you both sat back and you just thought, we've really got something here? We put your personal like input aside, but you watching it, from trying to separate yourself from it from a personal level, and just sitting there going, fuck, we've got something. We really, this is worth people knowing about. This is worth us pushing towards Kickstarter. This is worth us pursuing, because it is that good. When did that come? Was that in the editing process? Was that in the filming? Was it more?
For me, you can go first, Jimmy.
Well, listen, Kyra had so much weight on her shoulders. We both did, but she had to look through all of this stuff. So I don't even know if she had a minute to understand. Honestly, for me, it was day 2. We put the kids in a van, in this really, actually, this bomb-ass van that
it's my grandpa's van. It's in the
amazing
movie.
grandpa let us use. Again, it takes a village, and it's dope. It's so 80s and weird. And anyway, so all the kids are in our awesome picture car, and they just had this banter. That's what makes or breaks a movie. Is like, are the kids getting along? Does it seem like they're actually friends?
Yeah.
And that quality was just like, got it. Kyra.
Yeah, I don't know if I had much time to be like, yes. There were obviously definitely takes or moments in scenes where I'd be really happy with something that we shot. Something that sticks out of just like, oh, this is beautiful. And the way that we're telling the story was towards the end of shooting. This mausoleum that we were in was just very like Heather's reminiscent, with like actual Tiffany glass in the window. We got a great deal from this cemetery in Columbus, Ohio. And just these sort of shots that we were getting to sort of set up the story of the film I was like, okay, this is visually interesting. We're doing something creatively, and I hope people can see the amount of care put into it. But it wasn't really until the editing room, because you really have to like take a step back so that you can then look at everything objectively. So you're not kicking yourself like, oh, why I should have gotten this, I should have done that. You'll always do that as a director until the day you die. But then when we started getting in the editing room and working, it was fine. It was also finding the right editor. And eventually we found this guy, Chris LaRusso, and he just like us has taken the care and time and the edit of really diving into every take, every performance. If something didn't work because we were constrained for footage on that day, like how can we make it work so that it's clear and it's fun? And you don't always actually get that with editors. And I find that that's actually like, it's been a big learning lesson, to side tangent, for the indie filmmaking process, is I think where a lot of movies maybe fall off or don't reach their own potential is because not enough time was taken in the editing room. So I'm very grateful for that. So I've really, as we've gotten deeper into the edit, I'm like, oh, this is good. Like people, I think will really want to see this and will be excited about it.
Well, the Wikipedia described it as a comedy. I can't even talk.
Comedy.
Oh, thank you. Comedy horror. What's the balance like between comedy and horror?
It's not. It's a horror dramedy, you guys. We're coining that term.
We made a new term.
Okay.
It's a horror dramedy.
Dramedy.
Horromedy. It's a horromedy.
Horromedy. Oh, I like that.
Horromedy. Yeah, and that's honestly, it goes back to what I was saying, that life is funny, and so part of the plan, it seems to me, with a lot of people who write a horror movie, is like, we're not going to get engaged. These guys are going to die. We actually need to kind of dislike them, and that's where we differ. It's not a send up. It's not Tucker and Dale. It's not a goof of anything. I love a goof. It's honest. It just happens to be funny, like real life is, and we go there. We allow you to fall into these kids. And that's where the horror dramedy comes from, because it's just a little more staked down than most of them. But still, it's just as kind of wild and pink and bloody. It's just also honest.
Yeah. You have to have that balance between something, like you have to alleviate the horror with something.
Yeah. Oh, because otherwise then it's just terror all the way through, which is fine to a degree. But if you're trying to tell a story, then Jimmy's right. Real life needs to play a part in it, and real life is absolutely hilarious at times. So I love that.
Even when you're actively getting fucked by life, it's fine.
Yeah. You gotta laugh, otherwise you gotta cry.
Exactly.
And one of those two things is gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, I've hoped you've enjoyed this little travel back in time with us. We genuinely love what we do, and we hope it shows. But I'd just like to take a little second to get a little bit serious with you guys. As most of you may have noticed, the world is going to shit. This is a fact. That's not open for debate, it is. So please take some time out to do one thing that brings you joy. Life has a nasty habit of diluting the importance of joy. We all need to take a second and just breathe. Be it watching a movie, tidying a room, listening to a song 50 times, painting, reading, walking, it really doesn't matter. But guys, thanks for listening, and please just remember to be kind to yourself. And especially this one thing, as you well know, that I carry dearly to my heart, and that is, don't be a dick. See you later.